For more on the Asia-Pacific Economic Outlook, I'm joined now by Perry Wong. He's the Managing Director of the China Program at the Milken Institute. Perry, great to have you on the program. Now, a 70% contribution to global growth is remarkable. Tell us more about the nuance behind the improved forecast for the region. We know it's in part to do with China's recovery, India's population, but what are some of the other factors?
I think in general, Southeast Asian countries have a better, demographic structure at the moment. And I think the stable Asia supply chain is a major factor. So the countries within the region, or what we call the RCEP members, I think they work since the signing a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, had formulated, I think, a more promising trading scheme. So they are improving the efficiency of the trade, and also they rely probably on each other more. So the expectation is high, and also the economies within that groups actually had performed up to expectation.
When you say better demographic structures, what do you mean by that? Do you mean demographics that are more able to spend money?
Well, they have a younger population, and also they are the major producing nations of the global economy, led by China. And increasingly, you can look at the Indian economy, Vietnam economy, and I think even Thailand. I think many of those countries have becoming, if you will, increasingly industrialized. And also keep that in mind too, Korea and Japan are among the three, China included, major investors in the regions. So in that sense, they are not only fulfilling the demand in the region, but also are launching exports globally. And so it's not a surprise to see that when the pandemic increasing, the recovery increasingly become more promising, the economy in this region will continue to do better.
So why then were predictions downgraded for countries like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Singapore and South Korea? Does inflation not affect China and India in the same way that it has done in Australia, New Zealand and Singapore?
I think China is somewhat in different cycle, I may add. So their policy has been facilitating pretty effectively, and they have not experienced many of those inflation issues that many advanced economies have experienced. But also, I may want to add, though, I think people look at inflation as a factor that impeding recovery in Europe and somewhat in America. But I think the trade tension or the potential trade hurdles also, I think, has becoming alarming. I think if you look at the potential technology trading issue of China, Japan, and Korea, those can become an issue. So when you have, I think, the risk factor, I think, getting larger in front of you, I think it is a big concern for trading.
What do you mean by that? Can you talk to us more about some of those trading issues in technology between those countries?
Well, I think we look at the trade blocks on the chip exports, for example, potentially from Korea to China. And Chinese market is very important to the Korean manufacturers. So are the Japanese manufacturers too. But I think if the technology become a kind of a game to play in geopolitical issues, then it actually may raise the alarm, and certainly I think would cool, I think, the expectation to have a stronger recovery otherwise.
All right, Perry Wong, really interesting. Thank you for your time. Managing Director of the China Program at the Milken Institute.